ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
The background to Bhagavad Gita is to be found in Mahabharata. Mahabharata is the world's longest epos. It consists of 74,000 verses. Mahabharata means the great India, and it's the story of the family dynasties. And just to put it into perspective, it's about 10 times longer than the great Greek epos, the Iliad. So the Bhagavad Gita was spoken at the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And this is a place that is still there in India today. It's in the state of Haryana. And I have actually gone there, and I recommend all of you to go there on the pilgrimage. I went about 1.5 years ago, and it was pretty amazing. And I went there, and I went to the place where Krishna was actually speaking the Bhagavad Gita. It's called Yotisar, and today there are a few trees, and it's outside. It's not even a temple built on that. Yes, there's a small temple in the tree, but it's not like a big temple built on that spot. And it's very powerful. I went there and I read the Bhagavad Gita, and I prayed to understand the Bhagavad Gita better, and I also prayed for mercy and empowerment that I could do this Bhagavad Gita YouTube series. So I recommend, if you ever get a chance, that you go there on a pilgrimage. It's a very spiritually potent place. Okay, back to the story. So what had led up to the war was that there was a conflict within the ruling family who was the rightful heir. The conflict was between the 5 Pandava brothers, of whom Arjuna is one, and the 100 Kaurava brothers, who the older of them is called Duryodhan, and he was their leader. The 5 Pandavas were actually the rightful heirs, not only according to lineage, but also in terms of qualification. They were driven by a sense of duty to the people and a sense of duty to God to serve as rulers and protect the people and protect the land. The Kauravas instead were very materialistically driven, and they were driven by great envy and hunger for power. So before it came to the point of a war, obviously there had been lots of discussions, and diplomacy had been tried. And the Pandavas were very generous. They said, look, they told the cousin brothers, the Kauravas, look, you can rule the Bharatvarsha. Just give us 5 villages. We need 1 village each, because we are Kshatriyas, then we can do our duties as rulers. We can do our duties as kings, but just 1 village each is enough for us. So this is a very generous and a humble offer. But Duryodhan, he could not accept. He said, no, I will not give you as much land as the tip of a needle. And then there was no more room for negotiation. The war was a fact. Krishna himself had been acting as a diplomat, and this is quite instructive. If God himself takes the role of diplomat, it gives us the message that we should try to avoid war at almost any cost. But since there were no more options for diplomacy or settling the conflict peacefully, it had come to the point where war was inevitable, and any leaders in the right frame of mind cannot accept that some crazy dictators will come, take over power and abuse the people. And the people is supposed to be protected, not abused, right? So there is also a limit to what can be accepted, and at that point, justice has to be kept. So when it was clear that a war was going to happen, Krishna did something very interesting. He went to both sides and he said, you can choose, either you get my army, my very powerful and opulent army with great warriors, or you can choose to have me on your side as advisors. And guess what? The materialistically driven Kauravas, they immediately said, we want your army, Krishna. They grabbed the army and they were confident that with such an opulent army they would win. But the pious and spiritually inclined Pandavas, they said, Krishna, we would like you to be on our side and act as our advisor. That would be absolutely the best for us. This is also very instructive, and you can see a clear example of a demoniac mentality when you want to have the energy and the opulence of God, but you don't want God, and those who want God, the morality, the auspiciousness, the loving relationship. Now it's the first day of the war. All the soldiers have lined up. And Krishna is acting as Arjuna's chariot driver. And Arjuna asks Krishna, Krishna, please take me a little bit closer to the opposing side so I can see whoever is here, whoever has lined up to fight this war. And when he sees the opposing sides, he sees his family members, his teachers, his seniors, people he loved. Though he is one of the most skilled warriors the world has ever seen, he loses his composure and he has a full-blown anxiety attack. He knows either he has to kill the people he loves or he has to be killed by the ones he loves. He feels cornered by life itself. It's a lose-lose situation. He doesn't see how anything good can come out of this war. And Arjuna was a very virtuous person. If he knew that there would be a good result, if he gave up his life, he would easily have given up his life for a higher cause. But he was confused. He did not know what is better, to win or to lose and let the dictators win. And he there has not only an anxiety attack, but a full-blown life crisis. He starts to shake, his hair is standing on end, he gets foam from his mouth, his mind is just running, and he goes on a ramble. So he brings up all the reasons why he should not fight. Though the reasons are valid, and we're going to go through them one by one, it is a ramble because he doesn't listen. He's in panic. That's it. So let's check now which reasons he presents to Krishna why he does not want to fight. So the first one is compassion. Arjuna is soft-hearted. He's a devotee. He has compassion. He does not want to kill anyone, actually. Number two, second reason, is sinful reaction. He's thinking this war is so horrendous. If we kill millions of people, there will be horrible karmatic reactions. His third reason is enjoyment. He says, even if we win, what is the point of winning a kingdom, like a heavenly kingdom, if the ones you want to enjoy it with are not there? It's just depression, right? So that was his third reason. Number four, he says this is the destruction of the dynasty and the family tradition. So he knows if so many soldiers are going to be killed, there will be a lot of single mothers, and the family tradition will be destroyed. And the family, according to Vedic sociology, is the backbone of the whole society. The family is sacred. It's a very natural institution where everybody has a place and everybody gets also the right kind of stimuli. When we have a strong family culture in a society, we don't need like ghettos or institution for our children or for our elders. They are actually naturally taken care of. So he knows if the family tradition is destroyed, this is his own words. He says, then any kind of welfare project will not be fruitful. And he also says that who will offer the sacrifices to the forefathers? So in any traditional society, and so in the Vedic society, the ones who lives now, us, we have a duty to the forefathers. Everything we inherited from our forefathers, right? The land, our bodies, our culture, so much work they did so we can be here today. So we now have to work for them by doing sacrifices for them so they can have an auspicious continuations on their souls' journeys. So if everybody is killed, what will happen to the forefathers? These are Arjuna's concern about the destruction of the dynasty and the destruction of the family. He feels so depressed that he actually wants to go and live from begging. But he knows if he runs away, the unqualified rulers will take power and they will terrorize the people. What to do? At this point, he throws away his bow, he sits down with a deep, depressed sigh and he says, Krishna, I don't know what to do. Please instruct me. Now I am your disciple. And what does Krishna do? At that time, Krishna smiles. Not because he's a sadist, but because he has the higher perspective. He's God, he has the higher perspective. And he knows that there's a way that Arjuna can act, which is beneficial not only for him, but for everyone. So Arjuna is in the dilemma about his duty as a warrior and his duty to his family. But Krishna is now showing him the higher duty by which he can make a situation auspicious. Now, after Arjuna has presented all his doubts, why you should not fight, Krishna starts to answer Arjuna's arguments one by one. And he starts by a material point of view, why Arjuna should fight, because it's his warrior dharma, his warrior duty. But then gradually he starts to give his teachings from a more spiritual perspective, why Arjuna should fight and how he can fight in the consciousness of yoga. But before all this, before Krishna gives any advice on how Arjuna should act, he actually starts by explaining to Arjuna the nature of the soul. Because if we don't know who we are, we don't know what is the right type of action. We don't know what will benefit us if we don't know who we are. It makes sense, right? So in this course, we are going to do it the same way. The first lesson is going to be the lesson of the soul. And we're going to learn about our identities as souls. And then the second lesson, we're going to learn about karma, from karma to yajna, about different types of activities. And then we're going to slide over to the science of yoga. So stay tuned. These are essential topics for a happy, successful life. So we are going to wind up this introduction episode on the Bhagavad Gita by discussing what important lessons we can learn from the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. So the first thing I want to mention is that Arjuna's crisis is so important that the whole first chapter is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. It's called the yoga of Arjuna's lamentation. This means that whenever we are in crisis or whenever we are suffering and we are feeling cornered, this is a great opportunity for us for upgrading our consciousness. And if the crisis is of an existential nature, we may need help to solve our dilemmas. Not everything can be solved by ourselves. And this is why Krishna, as the highest authority, is giving these teachings to Arjuna. And Krishna is representing, obviously he's God, but he's also representing the spiritual master. So sometimes we need guidance from a person who has a higher perspective because they have evolved more spiritually. Second lesson, the third lesson, which is very, very important, is the fact that Krishna does not start to talk until Arjuna is ready to listen. When Arjuna is going on his rant, he does not talk. When Arjuna says, Krishna, I should not fight, Krishna smiles. But when Arjuna says, Krishna, I don't know what to do, please instruct me, then Krishna talks. Because unless we have this humility to say, I cannot solve this by myself, we are not ready to listen. And when we are humble, we are like a vessel who is ready to receive the spiritual knowledge. So these are the three main lessons that we should take with us from the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. I repeat, the crisis is a very big opportunity for growth. Sometimes there are some dilemmas and some questions of life where we cannot solve ourselves. Then we have to approach somebody who's more qualified than us to get the right guidance. And number 3, for us to receive spiritual knowledge, we have to be humble. We have to realize that we cannot solve this ourselves. Humility makes us open to receive the knowledge. So I'm really looking forward to continue this study with you all, and see you in the next episode.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.